Las Vegas, Nevada. Everyone knows of Las Vegas. Big hotels, lots of lights, lots of excitement, lots of gambling, or gaming, as we Nevadans tend to call it. Some people come here for a weekend, some just for the gaming, some people come for a convention. As of 2019, there were roughly 150,000 hotel rooms in this city, and we're still building. The Las Vegas Convention Center alone has almost 2 million square feet of exhibit space that can host shows with an estimated 200,000 participants. That is about the same population as Spokane, Washington, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Glendale, California, Rochester, New York. One thing I have learned from my world travels is that wherever I go, whenever someone asks me the question, "Where are you from?" all I have to say is Las Vegas. No other explanation is needed or necessary. Everyone knows of Las Vegas. Maybe that's because Vegas is not your typical American city. With all those hotel rooms, nonstop gaming, 24-hour liquor laws, and legalized prostitution in the next county over, it provides an almost heretical atmosphere. It's a weekend, catering to your vices. Maybe because of this, Vegas is no bastion of historical preservation. We tear things down. And although Las Vegas is pretty much like any city, when you get a couple blocks away from the Strip, it does seem to be our culture. The Dunes Hotel is out of date. Tear it down. We need a big fake pond with fountains. The Castaways just got old. Doesn't seem to quite fit our new expectations. So let's just do what we do. Gone. And then let's add the ultra-modern Cosmopolitan, or everything you want from a Paris knockoff, or Venice in a nutshell. But my personal old hotel favorite was the Landmark. If you were going to build on Mars, this building would be a good place to start. I get the impression that the designers thought all buildings would look something like this in the not-so-distant future, so why not get started? But oh well, you need more parking for the convention center and all those participants. And all right, I admit, the hotel did have its share of problems. It had some asbestos issues, it had some loan payment financial problems, it even had a couple of gas leaks. But still, well, you get the idea. As I'm implying, a good portion of modern Las Vegas and the Las Vegas Strip was first built in the 50s and the 60s. So a lot of what gets torn down is from that era. And what's disappearing are the efficient lines of this design era. It was a period where building and furniture design was interrelated. Many of the building architects of this period were also furniture designers. And if you think about it, they do go hand in hand. Arnie Jacobson, the designer of this egg chair, was also an architect. Charles Eames, the designer of this iconic chair, which I'll refer to later, was also an architect. Finn Juhl, the Danish designer who introduced Danish modern to America, by the way, was an architect. I like a quote of his. One cannot create happiness with beautiful objects, but one can spoil quite a lot of happiness with bad ones. And of course, Frank Lloyd Wright, the famous architect, he also designed the furniture in most of his residential buildings. So it really was an all-encompassing period of style. It was the modern movement. If you're looking at this time frame, you also have to look at the Danish modern design, but the term mid-century modern refers to an American design movement that includes furniture and architecture. It encompasses the time period from about the mid-1940s through the 60s. So you're talking about right after World War II and the baby boom. Now, mid-century modern design is characterized by its simple lines, its organic and streamlined forms, and its lack of embellishments and ornamentation. It's a design that was fast, sleek, and bold for a country just coming out of an arduous world war and heading right into the space race. But let's look at some examples in the Las Vegas area. Here is a great example of mid-century modern residential design. This was the home of Sam Butera. Sam was a great saxophonist and often performed in Las Vegas. Notice the strong horizontal lines, that low-slung roof line, the rock accents, not too much embellishment. I love the gap between the rock wall and the roof. Beautiful example. This is the Morelli House. It was moved to the eastern part of downtown from its original location in the Desert Inn Country Club Estates when construction forced its relocation or destruction. Antonio Morelli was the conductor and musical director for the Sands Hotel and Casino Copa Showroom from the 60s through the 70s. Built in 1959, it's a classic example of mid-century modern residential architecture that was thankfully saved by the Junior League of Las Vegas. This commercial building is located in the downtown area on Las Vegas Boulevard just south of Fremont Street. Although showing its age, the vast, unadorned expanse of tile is accented by a bold, geometric pattern as a great example of mid-century modern commercial architecture. But as you see, it's boarded up. And I don't know, is this going to survive? As I said, it's disappearing, and it really shouldn't. Mid-century modern architecture and furniture has those simple lines and sleek designs that we love. Geometric patterns, lots of horizontal surfaces, curved surfaces, and these great colors. But it's more than lines and geometry. The mid-century has a certain flair, a certain je ne sais quoi that's hard to reproduce. I've tried. I'm working on trying to add mid-century modern elements to a house remodel I'm working on right now. It's not easy. You really need to think about it and plan for it. Don't believe me? Wait for the look on your contractor's face when you tell them you want the roof line of your new front porch to be curved. So, how did we go from ornate designs, elaborate cornices, bulky, embellished, overstated, overdone, adorned, and ornamented designs, or this chair back? No. How did we go from that to sleek and simple? There were a lot of cultural and social changes converging in the 50s and the 60s. A more urbanized society was forming and the demands of practical use took hold. People were living in smaller spaces. Who had room for furniture with such large mass and all those curlicues? Smaller, sleeker designs just worked better. Modern society started to look at furniture differently, and the designers changed right along with it all. It was realized that design could be used to improve people's lives. It was taken to heart that the shape of an object should primarily relate to its intended function or purpose. Practical use took the front burner, but it did so along with and in accordance with aesthetics. Affordable furniture and household objects could be both functional and elegant.
But things are changing in central Las Vegas. People are starting to understand that we need to preserve our unique Las Vegas culture. Efforts to preserve, well, at least document, the architecture from the mid-century are continuing in the Central City area.
Nationwide, we are, and have been, seeing efforts towards downtown redevelopment that include architectural preservation efforts. Although maybe a little behind when compared to other cities, Las Vegas is also seeing this movement that may be best represented in the Fremont East and the Arts District. Fremont East is, as the name suggests, Fremont Street east of the downtown casino district. The Arts District is south of downtown, generally centered around the intersection of Charleston and Main. Although architecture is part of downtown redevelopment, current efforts are based more upon the idea of creating a more community-focused city. The idea is to build a cultural fit by developing a thriving social and cultural downtown. These downtown areas are developing into walkable collections of coffee shops, antique retail stores, markets, bars and breweries, and restaurants. If you walk through the downtown area today, you will observe a veritable explosion of murals of every conceivable color and persuasion. Some take a naturalistic tone. Some are just dramatic expanses of color and pattern. Some are monochromatic, and some are very cool, well, at least cutting edge murals. Fremont East even boasts the Container Park, which is a development made for metal shipping containers. It includes a fire-breathing mechanical, insect. Now remember, this is something that Las Vegas has not always embraced, with our emphasis on huge casino complexes aimed at the dollar-wielding tourists. These areas are much more geared towards the local population. But the point I really want to make is that the downtown redevelopment efforts are including architectural preservation efforts that include some of our mid-century architecture.